How's it going, guys? Cracked Rack here, and today I've got a bit of a different video for you all. Today we're going to be talking about something that is pretty personal to me, or at least it was until I made this video. Today we're going to be talking about my drug addiction and its history. Though don't worry, as of now, I'm not really addicted to any more drugs, but god damn if I didn't used to be. Anyway, before we get into this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the post notification bell to be alerted when I upload. Without further ado, here is the story of my drug addiction. So, my drug addiction actually started at a very, very young age. I'm only 20 years old, and it started when I was probably 12 or 13. Back when I was 12, my addiction was actually really cute. It wasn't anything serious. Essentially, pretty much all of my family members were avid marijuana consumers. Some of my family members, like my dad, used to grow it and shit. And one day when I was 12, I just decided, fuck it, I'm gonna smoke some weed today. I had heard about it in my favorite rap music, had seen all of my friends and family use it, so I decided, shit, why not try it? So that day, my parents went out to do grocery shopping, and I snuck in their room and found my dad's, bowl pipe with a nice looking nugget of weed inside of it. So I looked up a YouTube tutorial on how to smoke that shit, and I did, and honestly, it was the best high of my life for being 12 years old. I felt like a motherfucking king, and this was the very early start of my downfall. After that experience, I was fucking obsessed with weed. I literally was Googling it 24/7. I was stealing it from my dad's room every single time he even went to use the bathroom. I was in love with the color green, and luckily I had access to a shit ton of it. And by the time I was 14, I was already such an experienced weed user that I was creating decently advanced and super high concentrate weed edibles. I mean, at the age of 14, I was getting fucked up in ways that most college students could only dream of. A normal weekend for me at 14 would have been chugging IPAs and eating edibles until I'd black the fuck out. Keep in mind, I was 14. This is what I looked like when I was 14, when I was doing that shit. However, when I turned 15, things started to get really serious. So essentially, when I was 15, my parents were witch hunted by Child Protective Services, and I was placed to live with my siblings who were significantly older than me. This situation fucked me up so bad that I went from a cutesy partier to a hardcore death wish addict. Now, weed was a little harder to get here. I still managed to smoke up now and then, but it was a much scarcer entity in my siblings' house because of the way Child Protective Services was watching us 24/7. So I had to start moving to common household pills to get high, like some kind of emo, Tumblr 12-year-old girl threatening to kill herself. After experimenting with all the household drugs and not really getting any effects, I started abusing Benadryl and fucking loving it. I'm not gonna go too deep into that part of the story because I already did in this one video you can go watch, but to sum it up, Benadryl has extreme hallucinogenic properties at high doses, and I was fucking taking 15 to 20 pills every single night. Half as an attempt to kill myself and half as an attempt to get fucked up without weed or alcohol. However, one fateful and traumatizing day, I took 30. And it completely fucked me up so badly that when my siblings came home from work, they found me playing with cat shit and trying to eat it out of the cat box. I was extremely fucked up and they thought I tried to kill myself, which I kinda did, so they took me to the emergency room. I was so fucked up I thought I was seeing giant spiders try to rape me and shit. It was genuinely terrifying. The most embarrassing part of this was that at one point I couldn't stop pissing myself, so one of my siblings literally had to pull my dick out of my pants and shove it into a cup so I wouldn't piss on my own face. So after this, I was forced by my entire family to start attending rehab. Now stay along for the story because we ain't even got to the worst part yet, not even close. So rehab was fucking awful. I had to essentially every 3 days go to this hot, sweaty, unair conditioned building, piss into a cup, get lectured by some rich, fancy cunts who never had to do no drugs to feel better in their lives. Then I had to talk in a big circle of ghetto fuck-ups about why I was there. It was awful, and even worse was that the staff here forced me and all the ghetto Mexican 15-year-old fathers to go swimming together and shit at public pools. It was just a generally awful time, but luckily I graduated rehab right when I turned 16, but this was the start of my major downfall that could have taken my life. So when I was 16, I was a sophomore in high school, and I was extremely depressed and dissatisfied because after rehab, I had almost no access to any substances. It was literally all I even wanted to do was get fucked up again like when I was 14, but school and rehab prevented that. So I dropped out of school and moved back in with my parents across the state. For a few years, things weren't too awful with my addiction. I was heavily addicted to weed, but it wasn't nothing serious, it was just weed. I also liked to party and drink, and nothing too serious, nothing would be that bad again until I was exactly 18 years old. So I tried moving out when I was 18 to start my adult independent life. But upon doing that and moving in with roommates, I became so addicted to alcohol and partying that I lost my job, I lost my roommates, and I had to move back in with my parents. but unfortunately, because my parents' house was already jam-packed with people who were there first, I had to live in my shed, which was a hot, musty, nearly broken down shed full of spiders and rats and shit. The conditions were so bad here, there were multiple times in the middle of the night when I had to wake up and pull out a fucking gun to shoot a rat that was crawling all over my legs when I slept and shit. Anyway, this was around the time my major downfall started. Because I was so fucking bored sitting in that hot shed all day and night with no job, no friends, no career, no prospects, I decided I was just gonna experiment with drugs. However the fuck I managed to get them. The way I managed to get them was through playing my local healthcare system, and after a few doctor visits where I lied to the doctors about having ADHD, I was prescribed Adderall XR 15 milligrams. Did I take the 15 milligrams as told? Ha ha ha, fuck no. I immediately started taking 3 to 4 of those bitches in one sitting, which would have put me at fucking 60 milligrams at some points, which is the highest dose of Adderall you can even take without serious problems happening. So pretty much for about 3 months straight, I was dosing my ass off with Adderall, which is pretty much meth in pill form, and I was chugging hard liquor for fucking breakfast and shotgunning beers for lunch, like it was nothing all day, every day for about 90 days. And it led to me going fucking insane. I literally believed at one point that I was going to be the next greatest rap star, and I shaved my eyebrows and installed genuinely expensive gold teeth into my teeth. My mom took one look at me that day and was like, "You need help, man." I didn't believe her, so I kept going at it, and one night I almost died. At least I'm like 99% sure I was having a heart attack of some sort. Essentially, when I was laying down that night in my shitty bed, my heart started to lock up, like I'd be laying there, and my heart would fucking cramp and stall, which is not normal at all. On top of this, my throat was the sorest it had ever been in my life. It felt like needles coated my entire throat, and my shoulders burned. I could hardly breathe, and I was essentially just twitching in severe pain until I blacked out and slept it off and woke up the next morning. After doing a fuck ton of research, that was an Adderall-induced heart problem, so I fucking quit that shit right there and got some real help because I was scared. So, after about 2 years of experimenting with various meds that I use for legitimate purposes, I can say with certainty that I'm not super addicted anymore to anything. I still drink, I still get fucked up, I still smoke more weed than your dad, but fuck me if I ever try mixing 3 hard substances in one like I used to again. Overall, the moral of the story here is if you're gonna do drugs, stick to weed. And if you're gonna do weed, do that shit in moderation or you may just end up like me, but without all the cool YouTube stuff. Anyway, if you like this video, like it, subscribe, and hit that post notification bell, and lastly, stay tuned for more content.